Welcome back to the Humane Educational Society channel. Many animal shelters and rescues will conduct behavior assessments on the dogs in their care to better understand a dog's likes, dislikes, figure out any behavioral quirks they may have, and help us decipher what types of homes will be best suited for their individual needs. After we assess a dog's behavior, it shows us what the next steps in an animal's journey towards adoption will be. Do they need training or behavior modification for a certain trigger? Would they be safe in a home with other animals or young children? Are they ready for adoption now, or do they need further time to decompress and reevaluate at a later time? In this video, we're going to show you how we conduct our canine behavioral assessments at the Humane Educational Society, demonstrate different aspects of the assessment, break down the dog's reactions and scores, and explain why they're important. If you are a rescue dog owner and have received your dog's behavior assessment in your adoption paperwork, here's a deep dive into what their assessment may have consisted of and what their scores really mean. If you work in rescue or shelter care, we encourage you to use these methods of behavior assessment, and we'll show you how to implement them in your own organization. The first part of the assessment is kennel behavior and kennel reactivity. The kennel behavior test assesses a dog's demeanor when approached by a human while they're in a kennel or a run. This can show us if they have barrier reactivity, possible resource guarding of what they deem as their own space, and just give us a general vibe of the dog upon first meeting. After all, this will be how most potential adopters are going to see them for the first time when they come to visit the shelter. In this example, this dog, named Paradise, greets the assessor at the kennel door with a loose body and is easy to leash. Here's another assessment of a dog named Petal. Her body language suggests that she's excited to go outside. Her tail is wagging low in a submissive wag, and she gives a little spin in excitement. She's not overly excited though, and is easy to leash and take out. Here are two examples of dogs that may receive a different score on their kennel assessments. This dog, Rubbles, is clearly nervous when approached in his kennel. His tail does give a slight wag, but notice how his body language suggests that he's unsure. He licks his lips and avoids eye contact, backing away from the leash. This dog, Max, is clearly over-aroused in his kennel. Though he may have a fast wagging tail, he's barking, bouncing off the walls, constantly shaking off, and retreats into his kennel. Max would not pass his kennel assessment based on these over-aroused behaviors. This doesn't mean that he's aggressive, but a less experienced dog handler would likely have a difficult time getting him out of his kennel, and his reaction is quite strong. Other behaviors you may notice with some dogs that would result in a failed kennel behavior test would be snarling or lunging at the bars, snapping at the leash when approached, or trying to hide. Next is assessing the dog's reactivity levels when they're walking through the kennel area toward other dogs. This is another test of barrier reactivity. Dogs that are reactive to other dogs while walking through the kennel area can have a higher risk of redirection on their handler. So it's best to be prepared and have the knowledge that this behavior could be present. As the dog is taken outside for a walk, the assessor will take note of how they walk on a leash. This is not a pass-fail aspect of the assessment, but rather a score to determine walking style and strength of the animal. Do they pull a lot? Are they strong? Do they know how to walk on a leash at all? While the dog is out on their walk with the assessor, this is a good time to note if they seem housebroken or not. If they immediately go potty when they get outside and seem to eliminate fully and not just mark, it's a good indicator that the dog may be housebroken. Next is the on-leash response to dogs and people. When walking, see if the dog has any reaction to seeing another dog, but not interacting with it. Do they whine or vocalize? Does their hackles raise, or do they seem agitated, excited, or just indifferent? Watch their body language to help determine. The same goes for their reaction while on leash to seeing people they don't know. Do they want to approach? Are they immediately friendly, timid, or a little standoffish in any way? Body language is important here too. Make sure to take note of the more subtle cues as well. Paradise has a loose body and is very wiggly and happy to see a new person. She immediately goes to greet them. Her ears are back, but they're not pinned flat, and her tail wags in wide sweeps, and she's constantly rubbing up to ask for pets. She doesn't jump and is polite and sweet. This is definitely a pass. Here's Petal doing the same test. She's also excited and jumps on the person she meets with a low, fast-wagging tail. While she is forward with her greeting, you can see that her body language is a little less confident than Paradise. She gives a few lick lips and checks in with the handler before going back for more petting. She will also receive a passing score. A dog that would fail this assessment would be one that may show fearfulness or aggressive behaviors when greeting a stranger. Next, the dog is taken to our assessment room where the rest of the assessment will take place. The affiliation test is used to determine how the dog chooses to interact with people in the room. The leash is dropped and the person goes to sit down, letting the dog make their own choices on where to go in the room and whether or not they want to interact with the person, as well as how they do so. Does the dog choose to ignore the human rather than explore the room? Are they fearful and want to stay as far away as they can? Do they choose to interact with the person in a positive or negative way? What does their body language say about their decisions? Paradise chooses to sniff around the room, but easily comes when called by the assessor, eager for attention. Petal, rather than exploring on her own, chooses to cling to the assessor, once again displaying her slight lack of confidence. It seems she would rather feel safe and secure near a human than go out on her own. While Petal and Paradise have different reactions, both are still affiliative with people and receive passing scores. Let's look at Rubbles, the nervous dog from earlier. He does not come when called over, chooses to avoid rather than check in at any point, and he would be considered not very affiliative with humans. He may receive a fail. Again, this does not mean that he's a bad dog, but he may need some confidence building and maybe some help in learning to trust people a little bit more. The handling test is conducted to assess a dog's response to being touched, including potentially sensitive areas of their body. We test their response to not just being pet on their head, back, and sides, but also how they'll react if someone were to grab their tail, try to touch their paws, check their ears, or look at their teeth. This test is vital in determining the types of homes best suited for the animal. For example, a home with toddlers and young kids might not be a good fit for a dog that hates their tails or ears touched. If a dog is particularly sensitive about an area or acts out of character to certain parts being touched or examined, it could also indicate a medical issue that we can advise our veterinary team to address. Just last week, a very friendly dog had a pretty severe reaction to their ears being touched, and it was later discovered that he actually had a pretty bad ear infection. Sometimes in cases like these, we may retest their handling if a medical condition was found and later resolved to see if their reactions are the same. Some negative reactions could be pulling away or not allowing you to touch an area, lip licking, freezing, hard staring, or whale eyes, and obviously some more severe reactions would be growling, snapping, or head flipping. These next two tests assess resource guarding tendencies for toys and food. For the toy test, we try to find a toy that the dog is interested in. After a little bit of playing, we'll see if it's possible to safely take the toy away. Does the dog react in any way from the removal of the toy? Are they willing to give it over, or do they need a little coaxing? Paradise seems to like the tennis ball. She doesn't easily allow you to take it from her mouth, but she is willing to drop the ball and continue playing. She also seems interested in the stuffed toy. Again, she didn't really easily allow the assessor to take it and tried to play a little bit of tug, but conceded fairly quickly and without a fuss. Some dogs show no interest in toys at all, and that's okay. We just move on to the next portion of the test. The food test is one that must be done using the utmost caution, as some dogs may have a very harsh reaction during this assessment. For safety, we highly recommend back tying the dog in case you need to quickly get away. We use highly desirable food like strong-smelling canned food mixed with kibble to entice eating. The bowl is given to the dog and they're allowed to eat what they want for just a little bit. Then, using a fake hand, we will see if they have a reaction to placing the hand in their bowl. If no reaction is noted, we will try to slide the bowl away from the dog. We may also try to pet the dog while they're eating to see if they stiffen at all or react negatively. Some reactions that could occur that indicate resource guarding include stiffening, hovering over the bowl without eating, a hard stare, eating faster while you approach, picking the bowl up and trying to move away from you, and the more obvious cues of growling or biting at the hand. Here are a few examples of failed resource guarding tests. Notice how this dog completely stiffens when touched while he's holding the bone and lets out a low growl.
At you while you has it? Nope. Okay. No, Tom didn't do it. Look.
Later, he has a very obvious negative reaction to when the hand comes near. Also note that defensive handling had to be used when the dog reacted because he was not back-tied. This is why we recommend back-tying the dog for your own safety. When given the food bowl, he has a strong negative reaction even when not approached. This dog was worked with by our training team for his resource guarding, and he was eventually adopted into a very loving home. This dog, Ramon the Black Lab, starts out with more subtle negative reactions. Even though his tail is wagging, he tries to maneuver himself so the hand cannot get to his food. He briefly head flips at the hand without making contact, as a warning. When pushed a little further, he lowers his body over the bowl, growls, and eventually bites the hand. An assessor may choose to try to push a dog's limits during this test to see what their threshold is, but we urge you to do this with extreme caution and discretion. They might not react to you taking their food once or even twice, but the third time might be too much. It just depends on the dog. A good thing to remember is that if a dog does display resource guarding when pushed to do so, is to let them return to their food and finish it. You don't want to end up making a dog have resource guarding issues and feel like they need to start protecting their food if they hadn't already done so. Depending on the severity or reaction, an animal may still receive a passing score for this test. For example, if an animal just tried to take bigger bites or eat faster, but remains loose and generally at ease, their reaction will be notated, but they will still pass. A dog that fails will likely need behavior modification training and should probably not go to a home with young children, as they may try to stick their hands in the dog's food. The last test in the Canine Behavior Assessment is their dog-to-dog sociability test. For this test, you will need another person to assist. They will have a dog that is generally friendly and good at meeting other dogs, while you have the dog being assessed. Both dogs will be on a leash the entire time. The assessment should take place in a large space that the dogs consider neutral territory for each of them. If the assessment dog is ready to meet the helper dog, you can allow them to go nose to nose, making sure to keep leashes from tangling and keeping an eye on each dog's body language. Sometimes you can tell right away if a dog is going to be aggressive or reactive when meeting another dog, and you can choose to end the assessment immediately. Or you can give them time to orient themselves and try again. It will just depend on the severity of the reaction and how safe you feel. Watch for body language like a tucked or high flagging tail, lip curling, growling, or lunging, and give them a break, walk away, and maybe try again if they're ready. Keep an eye on more subtle signs that the dog may be uncomfortable or nervous as well, like lip licking, raised hackles, whale eyes, pinned ears, or a stiff body. You will also want to discourage any rude behaviors like mounting, but note them in your assessment notes. If both dogs seem comfortable or both wish to initiate play, you can drop both leashes, but be vigilant the entire time that the dogs are interacting in case you need to step in. Let's watch this clip back and notice Paradise's body language throughout. Her whole body is very forward, and she sort of rudely comes directly at helper dog Cooper's face, just straight head on. She's not aggressive, but this isn't a very polite greeting, and Cooper backs off. Paradise is clearly excited, and she tries to initiate play with little play bows. Cooper's still trying to check her out, but she just won't let him get to her backside to sniff, because she's just too over-aroused. She keeps trying to get a reaction from Cooper, barking at him and bowing. Eventually he bows back, but her overexcitement is just a little off-putting to him, so he retreats. Cooper's a good sport though and still wants to make friends. Though both have pretty good body language, Paradise's excitement keeps us cautious from dropping leashes right away. We don't want to overwhelm Cooper or let a fight happen because she's just too excited. But Cooper's a pretty tolerant guy, so he lets her figure things out, and eventually we do end up dropping leashes and the two engage in some play before we separate them. Though a little rude and pretty forward, Paradise was not aggressive, timid, or scared, and therefore she does pass her dog sociability assessment. Documenting your findings throughout the entire assessment process is very important, so be sure to either take notes as you go or record it and watch back later when entering their scores. Here's an example of Paradise's completed assessment and her scores, which are entered into her digital profile that the shelter can access and will also be given to her future adopter. This completes the Canine Behavior Assessment. We hope that you found this information helpful and can use this knowledge to learn more about your own dog. Or if you work in a shelter setting, you can implement these tests to help find the best forever homes for the dogs in your care. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more humane education content.